With the Elvis movie being released quite recently, I thought it might be interesting to start a discussion about what would be the best albums to recommend to a new Elvis fan, someone who wanted to dip a few toes into the ocean of Elvis music. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to recommend 10 albums that I think would represent a great balanced Elvis collection. And later on in the video, I'm going to compare that list with my own personal 10 favorites. So you can see the biases that I have when it comes to Elvis's music in the second part of the video. There is some crossover. Some albums are in both lists. But anyway, I'll go through the 10 albums that I would recommend, and I'll explain the reasons why as we go through. So the first thing I would choose is 3 studio albums. And the first one would be the second album, Elvis. And I haven't included the first album, Elvis Presley, and I'll get into why that is in a moment. The second studio album I would choose is far less controversial. That is Elvis Is Back from 1960. I think most fans would go along with that one. And the third album, studio album I would recommend is also not very controversial, from Elvis in Memphis from 1969. I also think that there need to be a few compilations in there, so I've chosen 3 compilation albums. The first one is the Sun Collection, or the Sun Sessions, I believe it was called in America. And this takes us back to why I didn't choose the first album, Elvis Presley. It's really about choosing the best albums musically. And I think the second album, Elvis, is more consistent than the first album. And the Sun Sessions shares 5 songs in common with the Elvis Presley album. But it also has all 10 sides of Elvis's 5 Sun singles. And I think on balance, that's a better selection than the 7 RCA tracks on Elvis Presley. So it's a real shame to not have Blue Suede Shoes and One-Sided Love Affair and a few others. But on balance, I think that the Sun Sessions is the way to go. The next compilation I would choose, far less controversial. This is Elvis's Golden Records. Solid gold, 50s monsters. No arguing with that one, I think. And the third compilation I would choose is the third volume in that same series, Elvis's Golden Records Volume 3. And this covers the hit period from 1960 to 1962. Again, full of just total Elvis classics. No dispute about that one for me. Elvis released 5 concert LPs during his lifetime, so I think we need to get a live album in there. And my choice for the live album would be On Stage, February 1970. This album contains 10 songs that were not actually Elvis's hits. 1 or 2 would go on to be his hits, and some of the songs went on to become associated with Elvis, but at the time they were known as other people's hits. Elvis also recorded 3 gospel albums and 2 Christmas albums, so I think we should have one of those in a recommended list of 10 albums. I did think about including the 1957 Christmas album, but that would have made the list a little bit 50s heavy. So instead of that one, I've chosen How Great Thou Art from 1967. This was, after all, the album which gave Elvis his first Grammy, and it also nicely covers that mid-1960s period where Elvis got his recording mojo back, and he was recording some good stuff in the mid-1960s there. And finally, I think we need a couple of soundtracks in there, because Elvis released 19 soundtrack LPs in his career, 17 movie soundtrack LPs, a TV special, and a documentary. I thought about putting King Creole in here, but again, just like the Christmas album, that would have made it a bit too 50s heavy. I also considered Blue Hawaii or GI Blues, but I think we've kind of covered that early 60s period with Elvis Is Back and Golden Records Volume 3. Girls, Girls, Girls and Ferdinand in Acapulco are pretty good albums, but not really strong enough to be on this list, I think. And all the soundtrack LP, movie soundtrack LPs after Ferdinand in Acapulco are not really good enough, I think. So that only leaves, first of all, the TV special soundtrack album. Superb album, and this also gets around the problem of having no Elvis live hits, because there are a lot of famous Elvis songs on here recorded live. So that would be the first of the 2 soundtracks, and the second soundtrack, of course, would be the one from That's the Way It Is. And with this one, we do get a few more live tracks, but it's mainly studio tracks from that great period in 1970. So that would be my 10 recommended albums for a nice, rounded, well-balanced Elvis Presley collection, covering all bases, I think. Okay, and finally, I'll just quickly show you my 10 favorite LPs, some of which we've already seen in the first list, but there it goes. So at number 10 is the TV special, which we've already seen. At number 9, A Date with Elvis. This is a fantastic compilation album from 1959 with Sun songs and movie songs which only appeared on EPs. Just not quite enough songs on this though to make it value for money to get into the recommended list, I think. Number 8 we've already seen, Golden Records, the first volume. Number 7 is Elvis Country. It's very difficult for me to keep this off the recommended list. I suppose it was really a choice of this or That's the Way It Is, but I felt that it needed 2 soundtrack LPs in the recommended top 10. Number 6 we've already seen, From Elvis in Memphis, and number 5, Elvis Is Back. And number 4 for me is Gold Records Volume 2, and number 3 is for LP fans only. And again, those 2 albums, it's really the lack of songs on them that keep them off the recommended list. Number 2 for me is Elvis Gold Records Volume 4. It never really occurred to me to put this in a recommended list. It's not necessarily an essential collection, but it's one that I just absolutely love. And my favorite Elvis album of all time, any guesses? Well, you've got a lot to choose from, I suppose. We've already seen it in the recommended list, so that narrows it down a little bit. Favorite album for me is Golden Records Volume 3. All right, so let me know what you think. What do you think I should have included in the recommended top 10 Elvis list? Thanks for watching. Take care. Cheers.